All right. Hey, how y'all doing? We are back for another review of How to Get Away with Murder. We are on season 5, episode 11, if I'm not mistaken. So, let's just jump into it. So, Nate is currently being questioned by those special investigators because now Miller is dead slash missing. All right, so they're questioning him or whatever, and they rewind back 24 hours, and Bonnie is playing the tape, and the tape that let me slow down. Bonnie is playing the sound bite that her coworker was able to dig up for her, and it basically clears Miller. Miller was just trying to make sure that the transfer went well, and that Nate's dad was being treated well. So that kind of exonerates him from wrongdoing, which could be a tactic, because he knows who's being watched or he know it will be recorded. I don't know, but it seems to clear his name. Whatever. So Nate thinks it's some kind of code, or he doesn't really believe that Miller's absolutely innocent in this whole thing. So yeah, I don't know. Moving on. All right, so Asher, and if I'm looking down, I'm reading my notes because again I can't remember nothing. So just get into this profile because I'm reading my notes. All right, so Asher tells Annalise tells Asher that he needs to go to the office to keep an eye on Bonnie, because Bonnie, she's in a very bad pace because, she's contributed to killing the man that actually loved her. And, and Asher also goes to let Annalise know, like, hey, everybody now knows what happened to Miller, whoop-de-whoop, whatever. All right, so now Laurel kind of runs up on Bonnie and she asks her, like, what did Christopher see? Was he there? What happened? What happened to Miller? And then she goes into this whole tirade about Christopher's going to have PTSD now that he's seen such a traumatic event, blah, 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 whoop-de-whoop. We all know Laura's dramatic, so whatever. All right, so now Bonnie is back to having an attitude with Asher because Asher was able, well, I guess once all the other kids figured out that he knew something about what happened to Miller, they kind of put two and two together. Bonnie's under the impression that he told them what happened, but they just kind of figured it out themselves, but she's back to having an attitude with him. So yeah. All right, we are back, and Nate is kind of doing his own little rogue investigation into his dad's death. So, he happened to run into the lead juror that was on his dad's case, and the juror lets him know that, hey, we got evidence that says your dad's prints were on the gun. So I guess that kind of contributed to the officer being found as not guilty. And then Nate realizes that Miller was the person that gave the jurors the evidence against his dad, which means Miller may have misled them on purpose and gave the jurors false evidence. So now he's on the path to try to figure out, like, what is Miller's role. He really believes Miller has a role. He just can't figure out what it was, which I'm inclined to believe one way or the other. I don't know at this point, so I'm just going to see. I don't have no predictions because Miller's dead now. There's nothing we can do about that. So moving on. We move on and we realize that Annalise and her boss, I don't remember his name, from the law company, she's defending him in a misconduct case against some woman and some company. I don't remember the details. Whoever it is, it looks like whoever her lawyer is very shook that Annalise is defending her boss at the law firm. So that was also strange. Gabriel is also being interviewed because he was working with Miller on a case against Annalise. So I guess Miller, I don't remember the guy's name that died, the DA that died before Miller. Whoever he was, I guess he's picking up where the old DA left off, and he was on a mission to take down Annalise. And Gabriel was working with him. I don't know the degrees of separation, how Miller and Gabriel end up working together, but yeah, so Gabriel admits, he was working with Miller to attempt to take down Annalise. Great. All right, this next scene is kind of a flash between Nate and Bonnie because they're both, having some kind of internal debate with themselves. Nate is kind of going through the stages where he's kind of willing to risk everything in order to prove that, you know, somebody, Miller, the governor, whoever the person is, people or persons, somebody's responsible for his dad being assassinated, essentially. And he needs to get to the bottom. So he's kind of sitting there, he's reflecting and, you know, thinking back on all the times him and his dad were angry with each other, the times they got along, and just kind of flash back into everything. So that's it's definitely a bittersweet moment. Bonnie is also going through this internal battle where she, you know, she feels bad for helping kill Miller. And realizing like maybe Miller did love her, or maybe he was just using her to get to Annalise. You know, she's still trying to figure it out in her head. So she's sitting in her garage and she's pressing the gas with the garage door closed, which we could imply that she's attempting to commit suicide by way of carbon monoxide poisoning, which is normally what happens when you sit in a garage with the door closed and you mash the gas. Just, you know, investigation discovery 101. Yeah. So Frank comes in just in time and he cuts the car off and he takes her out of the car and takes her in the house. And so Bonnie is she's not doing well at the moment. All right, so Michaela is now on this mission to convince Laurel that Christopher, the baby's not going to remember anything about what happened with the murder or anything like that. And she shares her personal story saying she was adopted, and before she was adopted, she was 2 years old. Her mom got shot right next to her. I don't know if she died. I can't remember, but her mom got shot right next to her, and she don't remember nothing about it. Which, if you're telling us the story, don't you remember? But okay, whatever. But I guess she was saying, you know, I wasn't traumatized. I grew up fine, even though, you know, I saw my mom get shot next to me. Which that could potentially be up for debate because Michaela has unhealthy relationships with people and delusions of grandeur. And she also has a sense of entitlement, like people have to be her friend by all means necessary, or whatever. So you may not be a serial killer, or you may not have severe PTSD, but you're not 100% normal as well. So you defeated the point there, but whatever. I guess Laurel kind of got it. Nate is also trying to chase down the chain of custody for the gun that was submitted into evidence at the police station. I guess it's the gun that killed his dad. And, you know, he goes up to this other black officer at the counter. I'm assuming they have some prior history together. And he's walking up to him like, hey, you know, can I get a chain of custody for this gun or whatever? And they're unable to verify his credentials because I guess, you know, maybe his credentials are suspended, we would assume, because he's in this pending investigation or whatever. So the guy is, you know, looking kind of sketchy or whatever. And then the cops walk in. So it looks like the guy, instead of telling, you know, Nate, no, we can't or whatever, turns him away, he kind of stalls him out until the cops get there. So he's low-key high-key snitched on Nate so that he could be hauled in for questioning or whatever else is happening. All right, we are back, and Nate is getting swabbed. They're swabbing his mouth or whatever, and they're about to get into the investigation piece, and they're going to start asking questions. And Annalise is calling him like, you know, let me come down there, let me help you, you know, let me represent you. And he's like, you know, Annalise, you can't have anything to do with this. I guess that's his attempt at protecting her because the governor is going to be coming for both of them once she realizes, you know, Annalise tried to adopt Wes. Wes killed Sam. Sam's son is now back. Sam's son was working with Miller. Now Miller's dead. Like, this is, just stick with me. It's complicated. It's complex. It's a lot, but yeah. So, Tegan is, you know, going up to Annalise and saying, hey, I have everything ready to get this civil case started for Nate's dad or whatever. Like, you know, help me out. And Annalise is letting her know that it wouldn't be wise to pursue a civil case because Nate is actually attempting to do a criminal trial against the officers that killed his dad. So if they were to do a civil case, that would eliminate all options for a criminal trial. I'm not a lawyer, didn't pay attention in that class, so I can't tell you if that's right or wrong. However, so now Tegan feels like Michaela has once again made her look like a fool to her peers. So now she is pissed at Michaela for the millionth time. All right, moving on. So, Nate is being questioned, and you can kind of tell, like, he is unraveling. Like, he is, it is not all clicking. Like ever since he killed Miller, he hasn't been like the stoic, quiet storm that Nate has been most of this, all these seasons. This is the side of Nate that we haven't had an opportunity to see. Like it's nice to see him like kind of stand up for something, because he's always kind of been Annalise's, I wouldn't say puppet, but he's kind of let Annalise like pull him every which way in his past season. So it's nice to see him kind of put his foot down on some things. But he's killing people out the gate. So I don't know. So, the investigators are asking him, your dad had mental illness. Maybe you have symptoms as well, because he was going through a myriad of emotions during the whole course of the questioning. So he may have, the loss of his dad may have triggered a mental breakdown, is what they're saying to him. So I guess we're going to explore that at a later date, because I think if we can recall, before his dad died, he did beat a man to death in jail, which the man was trying him, or, trying to pull his card or whatever, and he beat him up, but he didn't stop beating him. He just kept beating him with his hands until he died, which is also how Miller died, by Nate Jr.'s hands. So they have that in common. So could be, or they're just very strong. I don't know. Whatever. All right. So Maddox he's in a mad dash to get home after they've questioned him. He's destroying like that little converter box, whatever that device is. He's destroying his IDs. He's tearing everything up, and then he hears a knock on the door. Okay? And I don't think we ever realized who's at the door. I don't know. We'll see. All right, so Tegan is meeting up with the investigator lady. So the lady that's doing the investigation into Miller's disappearance is the same lady that helped Tegan anonymously take down Laurel's dad. So now Tegan is talking to this investigation lady again. We don't know why, so I don't know who she's about to snitch on this time, or what's about to go down, but she's meeting with the investigator. Cool. We also get a confirmation at the end, at the very end of this episode, confirming that Nate Senior's DNA was in fact not on the gun. It was not a match, which further confirms that Miller submitted some incorrect DNA and there's some false information out there. So Miller's not completely innocent. So told y'all he deserved to die. But I'm still conflicted. I don't know. We could be wrong. You know how this show goes. It's too many twists and turns. But they are, I think they're watching it on the news, and somebody gets a call. I can't remember. Again, I'm doing this post episode. I'm not doing it as the show is on like I normally do. There's a call, and everybody now learns that they have someone in custody in Miller's disappearance, and it's Gabriel Maddox. So he is in jail as a suspect. So I don't know. Maybe that voicemail that he left is evidence. So they're going to try to prosecute him, which I guess that works out, because that keeps Nate safe. That keeps all the kids safe, students. It keeps Annalise safe. I mean, in years they set up plenty of people to take the fall for other people's deaths. So Gabriel Maddox, that wouldn't be anything different. That would suck, because he was just showing up to learn about his dad, but yeah. So we will find out next episode what is happening with Gabriel and why he was a suspect and how he ended up in jail. So I will see y'all next week, same time, same place.